Alright, well, we got this movie called Call Me Chihiro. So basically, you got this lady by the name of Chihiro. She's now working at this bento shop. She's just living life, enjoying the sights, going by the beach. Then all of a sudden, we got this random girl just taking pictures of her. I'm like, who is this? Some chick by the name of Kamiko that goes to high school. Why is she so fascinated with her? Well, anyway, she's working back at the bento shop. She works there part-time, and she's working with this elderly couple. They're like best friends or something like that. So it turns out they hired her knowing her past profession. Turns out she used to be the #1 prostitute in that town. Or a sex worker, or escort, or whatever you want to call it. How she go from that to somebody hiring her at a bento shop, I'll explain that later. She gets a lot of her male customers that come through there too. Kimiko actually goes to the shop one day, right? She's about to order something. Then Chihiro poses for her, is like, hey, you don't want to take a picture today? Yeah, she knows you've been secretly taking pictures. She got embarrassed and ran off. Now one day she's leaving out the shop and she sees this homeless man getting picked on by 3 little kids. The kids notice Chihiro and then they run off. So at this point she's basically trying to take care of the homeless man. She's got food for him. Then she takes him to the house and gives him a bath. Gets him some fresh clothes. Now the homeless man is appreciative of everything, but he doesn't say a thing the entire time. She wants to split a beer with him, but he's about to dip off, so he's like, all right, have fun. So she's at her job and she gets a break or whatever like that. She gets a phone call and ends up being her brother. Apparently her brother's been trying to find her forever, but he gives her the news that her mom died. But she ain't even feel anything from it. She ain't cry about it or nothing. So you think to yourself, what's the backstory behind her mom? And her brother didn't know where she was either, so it's like she's basically getting away from her family. So you're like, what's the backstory with the family? Then we see her again later on after she gets off work. She's chilling with this old man, but she ends up going to this building. Turns out this building, this little room, it has a bunch of manga books in it. And she's just chilling with the old man and eating and reading. She ends up borrowing one of the books one day and then she's reading it on the bench. Then one of these kids comes up to her, this dude by the name of Makoto. And he tries to scare her with a fake snake. So you're thinking to yourself, what's going on with this kid? Turns out this is one of the kids that was picking on the homeless man when they first saw him. So she grabs him up and is like, look, you gotta teach manners, you know what I'm saying? Respect your elders or whatever like that. And while that's going down, he accidentally stabs her with one of those protractors. So he apologizes, but she ends up getting him some food from the bento spot. So they're talking and she tells Makoto about her past profession. It was like, oh, this stab wound ain't nothing. You want to see the stab wound I got on my back? He's like, no, I don't want to see it. Apparently some man did something to her, but they never really get fully into it. So if you're looking for full-fledged stories within these scenes, they're not going to give that to you. They definitely leave it up to your imagination. So we find out later on when Makoto gets to the house, his mom is coming in there late. So why is this happening? Well, apparently his mom works all day and Makoto's literally by himself throughout the dire days all the time. But he has a key, so he'll be able to get back in the house and do what he needs to do. Mind you, Makoto's like 6, 7 years old. Then we get to this one scene when Chihiro's chilling by the beach or whatever like that. She's sticking her feet in the water. And then we see Kimiko. We see Kimiko taking pictures again, but this time she actually was to stand by her in the water. They start talking about family and living above water. Like, trust me, these conversations get real ill, like to the point where you gotta listen to everything they're fucking saying. And then they just start playing around in the water. So later on, she's going back to her house and then she gets a visit by this chick named Basil. Basil's this chick that used to be her best friend in sex trafficking. Sex working, escorting, you know what I mean. They ain't seen each other in a while, they're catching up. So Basil had these 2 people that she trusted with money stashed away or whatever like that, doing all her escapades. The problem is these motherfuckers dicked her over, took her money and dipped out. So basically all the money she saved up for years, now she got to start from scratch. And she was going to use that to open her business. She said she was going to run some type of restaurant or something like that, but yeah, she got to start from scratch now. So Chihero was trying to get her a job at the bento shop. Basil said, don't worry about it, I'll end up finding something. So it gets to a point that Chihiro gets off of work. She's been chilling a lot more with Makoto and Kamiko, you know what I'm saying? Getting them food and stuff like that. Then we get the scene where the next day she's at work. Makoto's mom shows up. She's like, hey, leave my kid alone. Stop feeding him, doing all this other stuff, right? Because it's making the mom feel irresponsible, like she's not a good parent or whatever like that, just because she can't see her kid all the time because she's always at work. So afterwards, Chihiro apologizes to the mom and everything like that. And then the mom's just so frustrated, she just leaves. Now, Kamiko's situation, honestly, is kind of petty. She feels happier chilling around Chihiro and Makoto more than she does her own family. Because she feels like her family doesn't understand her or something like that. You'll get it when you watch the movie, I guess. So we get this one scene where Chihiro and Basil are chilling out. They end up going to this like festival, you know, with kimonos on, getting it rocking. They're trying to catch fish at this one pond. Chihiro can't do it for shit. Meanwhile, Basil's collecting all these goldfish. Then we see the guy that's actually running the pond exhibit. Chihiro looks up at him and is like, wait a minute. That's our old boss. They never say his name. We just gonna call him boss. So she's like, what the hell are you doing here? He says, well, ever since he got divorced from his wife because his wife was running the underground stuff, he was able to do his real passion and run an aquarium with a bunch of goldfish. So now he got his own private fish shop. They get to talking again, everything's all hunky-dory. So Basil jumps in like, what was going on with you? You ever smash? She never really gave her a yes or no answer. So Basil's assuming they did. So Basil and Chihiro get back to their house and they like cooking up stuff. And Basil starts asking her questions about love. Chihiro doesn't think she could ever find love because she thinks that she could acquire everything from it without being in love. Now you gotta consider the fact they were sex workers for a very long time. And who knows what they've seen to make them who the way they are today. But the reason why Basil particularly acts this because we know in her head she's actually feeling the boss. Thing was, she was never able to get with him. Next day we see Chihiro at work and then Makoto's mom comes up there with a thing of flowers. So I told you to stay away from my son. So Chihiro's looking at the flowers. He's like, if you read the card says that the flowers are from your son. She's like, I haven't been anywhere near him since then. So she takes the flowers back and walks off. I really don't even think the mom is mad about helping her son. I'm thinking that she's mad at who's helping her. I think she's mad because her son is hanging around a former sex worker. Where's the dad in their life? That could have something to do with it. But once again, when it comes to the people, they give you tiny bits of backstory. Now in between all this, there was this lady by the name of Tay that used to work at the Bento shop. The thing is, she had no choice but to quit because she was going blind. And she's been in the hospital. I think she has some other stuff going on with her. But the person that goes to see her all the time is Chihiro. But when she goes in there, she tells her name is Ava. So why is she giving her a different name? My bad, she said her name is Aya. She basically enjoys her company, helping her play games and stuff like that. Chihiro's walking around the way, and then we get this backstory. When she was a little kid, she had made some homemade sushi, but she was just sitting on the porch by herself. Then this lady comes over and she tries her sushi out. They end up walking down the street together to this building. Turns out this lady she was walking with was actually a sex walker, and her real name is the real Chihero. She gave her an acorn, and then she ends up giving her a business card at the Palma Beach. She had to be no more than 8 years old at the time, and the Palma Beach is basically where she got started. With the sex work and stuff. Shit's fucking crazy. Basil calls up Chihero at this point, you know what I'm saying? Chihiro's about to go back in the house. But where we see Basil at, she's at the fish spot with the boss. Turns out the boss gave her some part-time work to work up there with her. Like, okay, wow. So now Basil getting some extra money. So they get in the conversation about Chihero, and the boss tells Basil, like, you know, Chihiro's like a daughter to me, you know what I'm saying? And she basically looks at him like a father figure. And they get this grave site that they're seeing, and at this grave site, she visited there. It was like a flashback. The boss is one that dropped Chihero off at this gravesite or whatever. Now the gravesite had flowers in it or whatever like that, but there's this little space where it had a bunch of acorns in it. Now I'm assuming because back in the day, Chihero gave the real Chihero acorn. I'm assuming that's the real Chihero that's laying there done deal did his shit. Just speculating going by what the movie told us already. So that's, you know what I mean? They never showed the name on a casket or whatever. On a tombstone, whatever. So then Basil ends up going to Chihiro's house when she gets home, whatever like that. Turns out she's in her feelings. And it turns out Basil really does have feelings for the boss. So she thinks Chihiro's lying when she said she had never smashed the boss or whatever like that, because they have this relationship where they never lied to each other about anything. But Chihiro keeps telling her like, yo, the boss is not gonna rock with you, Basil. Basil don't want to hear that shit. She just dips the fuck off. Then we get the scene where it's like pouring down and raining. Kamiko's doing her studying or whatever like that. She gets a call from Makoto telling buddy he's hungry. See, the problem is mom's not home as usual, but the thing is, it's raining, and he apparently forgot his key, so now he's locked out the house. So Kimiko already knows Makoto's situation, so basically she's going downstairs to make some food. She gets into this discussion with her mom, and then she spazzes out. She basically goes over to Makoto and gives him a couple of rice balls. So that kept him good until finally his mom got home. Now all three of them inside the house. She fixes some food, they all eat together, and then all of a sudden Makoto starts crying. Kamiko. So the thing about her is, like, she feels happiest around people that she, be able to, she feels happiest to eat around people that she feels gets her, but she feels like her family doesn't get her. I'm not gonna lie, her reasons for doing stuff is bullshit. But she does have this one thing I can explain. Kamiko ends up following the treasure map that Chihiro ended up giving her, you know what I'm saying? Turns out the map was to that abandoned building where they had their manga books in. To Shinizu's room. They end up meeting with each other. Turns out they actually go to the same school. The thing is, Shinizu doesn't go to school like that, and she's always getting kicked out of the house, so basically this is her like sanctuary. They end up becoming best friends real quick. Now I don't remember I said this already, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Chihiro ends up coming to that same spot one day looking for the homeless man, but she can't find him. Chihiro ends up finding him later as she's walking around and finds him done deal dead as shit. She had to end up burying him. Alright, now back to current events. So the reason why Chihiro looks at the boss as like a father figure because he basically saved her life. Because if she didn't work for him, pretty sure he thought to herself she probably would have committed suicide. So the people at the Bento spot get a call from the hospital saying that Tay's missing. So we're like, where the fuck did she go? She's blind. She ain't gonna just walk out the hospital. Turns out Chihiro went to go pick her up and take her on a joyride in the rain. So the elderly guy is thinking to himself, he starts looking through resume stuff. It turns out Aya is actually her real name. She just used the Chihiro name because of the flashback I told you about before. Her meeting the real Chihiro. The person that put that idea in her head was the boss when she started working for him years ago. So she basically wanted to take Tay on a joyride. They had this long discussion. They ended up giving each other hugs. Then she brought her back to the hospital. Everything was all safe. Everything's fine. Then we get this scene where they're all on the rooftop, right? Chihiro, Makoto, Kamiko, Basil, the boss, and other people that work at the Bento shop. And Tay too. They all together eating, and Chihiro ends up sneaking off or whatever like that. She's walking down the pier. Tay was the only one that noticed she was gone. Yeah, the person that's blind was the only person that noticed that she dipped out. They had this talk, and you notice that she's by the water. And after they finished talking, they're like, see you tomorrow. She's like, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. But the tension felt crazy. And you think to yourself, she's been thinking about suicide for a while, and then she's standing by the goddamn water. I'm like, I don't like this shit. But instead, she ends up going to this bar. She ends up talking to this dude while he's eating his ramen, and she gets a couple beers. Then they talk outside the bar, and apparently this guy knows her. He knows her as Chihiro. Then he gives this backstory about how him and his dad had beef. And he says he damn near beat him to death with a baseball bat. The crazy thing is he never heard a news report, so he don't know if his father's dead or alive. So she says if he comes after you, kill him first, I'll be the one to bury the body. I'm like, the fuck? Then all of a sudden she kisses him and then she's like, yeah, I'm in the mood. The mood for what? You know what time it is. She ended up giving him the business. I can't lie, I'm kind of going out of order with these scenes, but everything that was happening was so fucking ridiculous. Honestly, it was too many random things to keep up with. So we get this scene where we're back at the Bento spot early in the morning, right? Tay's actually working back with the old guy. Turns out they're actually husband and wife. So they're discussing the stuff as they're peeling acorns because that's what they used to do when they first started. And she always wanted to ask him a question. She said, what made you decide to hire Chihero in the first place? So apparently when he was about to give her the job, he said he's about to run an errand or whatever like that, but he really wanted to watch her. He ended up giving her a free Bento box. And the way that she enjoyed everything and ate the meal, that gave him enough clarification to figure like she's not really a bad person. Because he already knew the profession that she was coming from before getting there. He based it off being a good judge of character. So you're thinking to yourself at this point, where did Chihero go? Because she never showed up back at the Bento spot. So you're thinking to yourself, did she commit suicide? Like, what happened? Turns out we see her somewhere and she's working on this farm with like a bunch of cows. She talks about moving upward and onward, and that's pretty much the end of the movie. I was just like, all right. So what I got from this is like, don't expect some type of plot or twist or anything like that. It's more so about the characters that she interacts with. I'm not really going to say her life is more fulfilled, but I guess she has a new outlook on life. It just makes you wish that they delve more into the other characters' backstories. But basically, it leaves it up to your imagination. Call Me Chihero on Netflix. Check it out.